Hello, I'm Nelson Pereyra from bnetTV. Welcome to 4G World in Chicago 2011. And with us from JDSU is Zach Lovell. How you doing, sir?
Very well, and yourself?
I'm doing great, and JDSU is one of my favorite companies. No matter what you get out of the industry, either any type of infrastructure or any type of equipment to make this great technology of 4G work or 3G, you need equipment like, you need companies like yours offering equipment that helps those companies optimize, test, and know for sure, not just in a speculation, know for sure that the product they are deploying works as designed.
Absolutely.
And can you please elaborate what brings you today to 4G and what role your company plays in the ecosystem?
Sure, absolutely. So, of course, we're here at 4G World, and this is one of the big shows that we need to be at to understand what's happening in the industry. To really engage with our customers and understand, where things are going directionally. And there's a lot of interesting things that you see as LTE is not mature, right, but it's maturing.
Yes.
And so it's bringing out new challenges, and we're looking at different ways. So, you see a lot of talk now around small cell deployments, HetNet, a lot of these different things that are going out there. And so it's good to get a view of that. That's kind of what brings us to the show here. But we're as well bringing a number of new products to market. Ultimately, our customers, whether they're network equipment manufacturers who need to test and verify that the products work before they bring them out to market, or whether it's service providers who need to operate the network and give services to the end users, they want to make sure, one, is it ready to deploy and take on customers? How well does the network work? How we troubleshoot and resolve issues when they do arise? And let's face it, there will always be problems in networks. And third, to be able to optimize it, to really, to ensure that you're getting the most performance out of the network. And doing that in a way, recognizing that it's an ongoing moving target, right? These networks are not static. That's why we always do have problems that need to be troubleshot in them. But ultimately, being able to look at the whole life cycle of a technology and to be able to work it through from the NEMs through to the service providers and ultimately into the operational networks is very, very exciting for us. And we're, I think, uniquely positioned as a company to really be able to offer a whole portfolio of products, whether you're looking at base station test, RF test, network test, application service performance measurements, whether you need to assure your backhaul and make sure that all of these small cells and towers are getting the data back into the network. We've got a very robust and complete portfolio that allows us to serve all of those different needs in that ecosystem.
And not only that, you guys been doing this for such a long time.
Very long time.
You have an experienced company actually dealing with the infrastructure that was in the past and the one that is currently happening today.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're, the advantage of a company like JDSU is not just in the products we deliver, right? It's in the expertise of the people and our ability to go and engage with our customers and help them find ways to solve their problems. And many times these are very unique problems that we can go and help and tailor solutions to really help fit their needs.
You remind me when I used to have your products working with me, because I used them myself. Every time I call your company, I always had a person to help me.
Good.
And they went right through the whole entire process. They helped me. So your customer experience is amazing and is top in the industry. I'm saying that as a user as well.
Sure.
And having said that, the industry itself has changed from a static industry to a mobile industry. JDSU actually has put themselves in the forefront of actually making sure that every step of the network has met the demand and it's actually working, not just in paper,
right,
but it's actually working as tested.
Right.
And which is the key thing. You can implement any infrastructure in the industry. If you cannot test it and report it, and not only that, but the providers need to know before the users,
right,
when there's problems.
Yeah, exactly. And this is one of the challenges in the evolving technologies. And if you look at ISDN, correct, right, and you go to the standards in ISDN, you see that there's predefined conformance test suites, or there's all of these test cases and things that are defined to say, is this qualified to be able to be used in the network? But no such standards exist today for LTE or any of these technologies. Correct. And so this is a real challenge for our customers. How do you ensure conformance to the specification? How do you ensure that all the features and functions are working correctly as you go and want to start putting revenue generating customers on top of this network. And ultimately, one of the greatest detriments to customer experience, right, to the quality of their end experience is going to be driven at how well did you test and verify that these things were ready to deploy and take on customers. And so a lot of churn in the networks is driven by trying to be too hasty in deploying new technologies or new services. It creates a poor user experience, and ultimately that drives people to leave.
So pretty much your company tests everything in the infrastructure from the bottom layer to the top layer of the ecosystem?
I wouldn't, say everything.
But I'm talking about like the spectrum, the protocol architecture.
Absolutely.
That runs. How do you know that your quality of service is working very well?
Right.
For those applications that are time sensitive?
Absolutely.
Especially with voice and video coming into the stream of things in the 4G market?
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and so if you look at we kind of say end to end and top to bottom, right?
Yes.
So whether you're wanting to do testing on the radio side, how well is the RF working?
Yeah.
How well is the base station working? Into how well does the access network perform? How well does the services network perform? But then, how do we get visibility into the application layers? How do we look into these network tunnels? How do we pull out the application and service data and understand what's going on? So whether you want to assure your transport, or you want to assure your service, or you want to assure your access network, we've got all of that top to bottom covered, as well as the end-to-end view, looking at from the radio all the way out into the core.
Correct. And you always hear test equipment being put in on the core to test performance, and you always hear test equipment put in between the core and the edge, and you never hear equipment that will test the customer experience.
Right.
Can you please elaborate why has the industry and what's being done so far in terms of being able to carry a piece of equipment that you can monitor, hey, I'm the user, I'm running video, audio.
Right.
How can I test that my network at every point and know that that network is meeting my demand?
Well, there's some interesting challenges in there. And you look historically, the network was the service, right? I mean, when you pick up your phone, even early mobile communications, for the most part, the network was the service itself. And so you weren't necessarily, worrying so much about having to look in other places to understand what the end user experience was, because by monitoring in the core of the network, you got pretty good visibility as to what's happening. But what's happening today in LTE? We're decoupling the services from the access. So now LTE is nothing more than an access network. At its most basic, it does nothing but provide a guaranteed quality of service to support some application or service that's running on top of it. And so in this decoupled architecture, it creates a whole lot more complexity to really get in and understand what's happening. And just imagine now that these LTE networks, you're going to have the Internet of Things, right? You've got all of these connected devices now. You've got all of these machines talking to other machines. So the diversity of communication that's happening now in these mobile networks is ever greater. But because we've now decoupled the service delivery from the access, it creates a greater need to really look into these user data payloads and understand, okay, what's happening, why is it happening, what's the quality of the service. But how do you do that in an environment where you're dealing with a 10x jump in the amount of data volume that you need to look at? But really, moving from 1 gigabit pipes to 10 gigabit pipes, or 10 gigabit to 100 gigabit pipes, that is, in my mind, less of a challenge than it is dealing with the millions and hundreds of millions and tens of millions of connected devices talking to each other. So all of these end-to-end service flows now, that's going to be where the real challenge is how do I pull out and say, this is a high-value service, this has a lot of revenue behind it. How do I go and understand what the end-user experience is, what the quality of that is?
My heavy users are in this location.
Right.
So I should do more investment based on my analysis.
Right.
So, and what brings you to 4G world in terms of what new products? I mean, JDSU is always developing new products.
Sure.
You guys are more than a trusted company.
Yep.
You actually have brought better innovation and better way to troubleshoot our current infrastructure.
Right. Yeah, so we've got a number of things that we're bringing to the show. So first we have our new version of our SART product, our Signaling Analyzer real-time product.
Very good.
And it's a network diagnostics tool.
Okay.
So it supports the monitoring of the end-to-end network in LTE, but as well the 2G networks and the 3G networks. So whether you want to get visibility to access network performance, core network performance, service performance, and whether that's to optimize it or to troubleshoot it, we've got a really robust solution for that. In fact, one of the things that we've added into the tool is the ability to capture and analyze data at 10 gigabit per second line rates, which is the only solution today that can handle real-time processing analysis of LTE traffic at those data rates. We couple that with the ability to go and talk to different radio-based data sources. So one of the big challenges in LTE today is that the collapsed architecture has resulted in no interface that's carrying direct information about what's happening on the radio. And let's face it, 80% of the problems in mobile networks are over the air. They're in the radio access side of the network. And in UMTS and in the 2G networks, there's this IUB or ABIS interface that we can go and we can tap and pull in and get some rich information about what's happening on the RF side. Today, there's no such ability to do that. But we've actually been working with a number of different vendors, a number of third-party tools to be able to offer the ability to take in multiple different RF data sources, to bring those in and provide a complete picture of what's happening from the device all the way to the core. And so this is really exciting for us with the SART product.
I mean, it's amazing, but having such a company like yours be able to offer that to every provider out there, I can see the demand in terms of how many providers are going to be contacting you guys in reference to this new product that actually you guys are developing here today.
Yep, we can only hope, and I trust that it'll happen.
It is needed,
yeah.
I have to say.
Well, and I mean, what's interesting is this, for me, this is really the year of LTE. I mean, more deployments are going to happen, in the next 12 to 18 months.
Most phones that are coming out are LTE based.
Absolutely, and it's going to, and this is going to create a lot more challenges. One, you take a new network technology and you deploy it for the first time. You take more customers on it. There are going to be issues. You have to have a right set of tools to go and solve these problems. And once you've gotten the basics done, then you got to start looking at other things. How do I grow the network? How do I characterize how my users are taking advantage of the network? And so there's a lot of things that once you get beyond the basics of, okay, is it up and running and how well does it work and do I have the right tools to troubleshoot problems, but how do we know when to grow it? How do we dimension the network? How do we optimize its performance? And so we have a variety of tools that help us to get into that. So not only our SART product, but we have our drive test platform, which is just adding more and more devices every day as they become available. But what's really exciting is they've created a user agent, a test agent that can plug into Android phones. And then these phones can actually give you and send back real-time information about what the quality is of that service connection. So now you can really put these agents on any device, not only drive test devices, and so you can turn any handset into a drive test.
Give you real-time data of what's happening in terms of your network around that area.
Exactly.
Very good.
So very, very exciting for us. And of course, we've got a number of products to, like our QT600, which does the Ethernet backhaul assurance. So as you want to go and make sure, how is that last mile connection between my MITSO site, I'm backhauling my data through some external provider out to the radio head, where we actually now need to go and understand what's happening and how we ensure we've got connectivity end to end, not only for our end customers, but what is the actual backhaul connectivity? How well is that working? Are we meeting our SLAs? So on and so forth. And so that's as well a challenge as you go and deploy out, is also making sure that you've got good connectivity between your radios and the core network.
Well, Zach, I do thank you so much for spending time with us. I know JDSU is one of the leaders in the industry, and not only that, but you guys actually have been here from the beginning, and your entire product family, which is a large one, for any demand on the network, both from the core to the edge and anywhere in the industry, has met the demand not only in the United States, but globally.
Very good.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And, thank you. This is Nelson Pereyra from bnetTV. With us was Zach Lovell from JDSU at the 4G World in Chicago in 2011. Thank you.